Yes, yes, you are a real person. It would seem. Mhm.
I left myself on mute. So I knew I was going to get something wrong. How's it going now? Can people hear me now? Can people hear me? Am I off
Yes,
mute?
yes, you are a real person. It would it
Hello,
would
chat.
seem.
I can check real quick.
And it
Uh,
looks like I've got that on. So right, can I be
Yes,
heard?
we are live.
Right. Okay. This is a great start, isn't it? And we can't hear. Everyone keeps saying I'm muted. I'm hoping that's to do with the lag. I hope people can hear me now. Um, yes. So people are saying yeah. Right. Hopefully they can hear Pat too. So today
good.
we do have a really, really, really fascinating, what I think is a fascinating debate booked in on Bigfoot and the evidence for Bigfoot. And we have two really, really, really highly capable debaters as well. I'll introduce the gentleman to my right in a minute. And we are just waiting on everybody's favourite Gutsick Gibbon, Erica, that usually debates over on the Modern Day Debate channel. Now I don't know if we've had a little bit of a mix up with time zones or not because she's not quite here yet. So we'll see. We'll keep you informed with what's going on with that. I'm sure she'll be here though. So Pat, while I'm waffling on, how are you doing, sir? Do you want to introduce yourself? Introduce your channel. Let us your links in the description. Chill yourself out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Kat, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys being willing to host this type of debate. It's very cool, interesting, different thing for me. My name's Pat, and I swim in the Bigfoot waters, which is an interesting place to be. Uh, uh, but I'm actually an open-minded, critical thinking skeptic, and I think that confuses a lot of people. Um, those are just tools. Obviously, those are tools you can use in life to navigate through reality. And but I find myself swimming in the Bigfoot waters because I found the phenomena fascinating. About 20 years ago, really, and so here I am, and I'm willing to come on any platform and have a discussion about Bigfoot or a debate, if you will. Um, some skeptics are really hardcore, and some are a little bit more open minded. So my platform is called Squatch Talk. I have a YouTube channel, Squatch Talk,
Link in the
where
description.
yeah, links in the description, and that's where me and other like-minded people, we have a lot of panel discussions, and sometimes we'll have guests. You're welcome on there anytime you want. If you want to
Oh, love to. Yeah, love to.
if you want to dip your toe into the Bigfoot waters, my platform would be a good place to start, I'd say. Um,
No, I'd love to come on that. Is it like a flat Earth? The flat Earth kind of world we occupy is quite a community. Everybody knows. Is it a similar thing? Is it a whole YouTube community itself?
yes. Oh, yeah. I would say it's bigger. It's probably bigger than the flat Earth community.
Oh, right.
Um, and it's funny you bring that up, and I would love to have this discussion real quick. It might it might be interesting to people. So you're familiar with Behind the Curve, the documentary?
It's one of my favorite programs of all time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So here's what happened to me. One night I found that, on Amazon, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to watch this. This is going to be great, you know, and, uh, and just, I'm just going to watch it before I go to bed. And I got settled in. I was excited, it's like, it's a good documentary, low hanging fruit. Right. And 5 minutes into it, my jaw hit the floor, and I was like, oh my God, this is just like the Bigfoot community. And it made me question everything about Bigfoot, you know. Um, because it's the parallels are there, but I was able to sort out in my head. I'm like, well, flat Earth is just a cherished belief, you know. There's not an actual flat Earth phenomena, you know. It's just a cherished belief. People kind of just want to believe in it, and some of that does happen in the Bigfoot world. There are some people that kind of treat Bigfoot as a cherished belief, but overall, you could separate the actual phenomena from any kind of cherished beliefs, because there's something going on out there. So I was able to sort that out in my head. But yeah, the communities do have their parallels. It's interesting.
Well, I can imagine sort of with any community that's talking about, how can I say, unusual things like the flat Earth or Bigfoot. You will have people that just will be part of all those communities, you know, because they believe in the flat Earth. They will believe in the Yeti, the Bigfoot, Dogman, Hatman. You know, they'll just believe in the lot because that's the type of person they are. But you certainly are. I mean, you were telling me off air that you're. I mean, feel free to advertise it, but you're doing a flat Earth debate tonight against the flat Earther, aren't you? You know, you are quite skeptical. So I'm really interested in hearing the evidence that you've got to bring. It does look as though Erica might have just there might be some issue with time zones or something, maybe some communication between us, because otherwise I'm sure she would have been here. So what we may end up doing is going off her in about 10-15 minutes after we've had a chat, and then if she thinks it's an hour's time, coming back on again and doing the debate today. So I'm sure I'll hear from her. I have tagged her in a tweet, and I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. And if we can get the debate done today, we'll get it done today. There is something I want to say, though, to people in chat, because I've had a lot of texts and messages, and not texts, but tweets and messages. We've been off air for quite some time now. I think we've been off air for about 5 weeks. And a lot of people, and I've not made a video for 5 weeks, and a lot of people have been asking, where have you been? Like, you know, what's going on? So essentially, it's just a case that real life has got in the way for me a little bit. I've got very, very lucky, and I got a contract to write some textbooks for actual schools over in America, actually, over near where you are, Pat. And it's just taken every minute of every day that I've got. So it's all on me that there's been no content for quite a while, but I've managed to rejig my timetable for a little, so I can make more time for YouTube again. Creaky's also just been massively busy. So for anybody who's sort of been tweeting thinking, you know, is there some sort of, you know, is the channel being discarded? Have we had some sort of falling out or anything like that? Absolutely not. It's just a period of incredibly busy time for the both of us. So I just wanted to answer that. Now, Pat, what I don't want you to do is how can I put it? I don't want you to blow your load all in one go, which might sound I don't know, depending where you are, that might sound rude or not, because this debate is going to happen. So I don't want you to show all the best evidence you've got, and then you're leaving yourself open to anyone to watch it. But if maybe we can have a chat for 10 minutes about Bigfoot, and if Erica doesn't come up, we'll just come off her, and then we'll just rearrange it for when she's back, and we'll go again. So if maybe I give you a bit of an interview, then really, would you be up for that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So historically, you know, how old were you? What age were you at? Where you went from thinking, you know, Bigfoot is a story, it's got to, you know, there might be something in this. You know, how old were you, and how did that happen?
Well, you know, that's kind of interesting, and it could be used against me. I understand how the psychology of what I'm about to tell you could be used against me, but so I'm 49 years old, and so in around, I think it was 1975 or 76, there was a TV show called $6 Million Man. And they had an episode where the main character, the $6 Million Man,
Lee Majors, I remember it.
Yeah, Lee Majors fought Bigfoot. And so I was like, I don't know, probably 4 years old at the time, and it's hard to kind of separate at that age, separate television from reality, almost, right? And so I was like, oh wow, I just thought Bigfoot lived, you know, up in the hills, you know, near me. I mean, that right there made me think they were real, because again, like at that age, it's kind of hard to separate television from reality. And so that, that was my pop culture sort of introduction to Bigfoot. And I didn't think anything of it as I grew up as a older child and into my teens. So, I went and, started, forgot about Bigfoot and, got into skateboarding and music and girls. Right. So, but later in life as a young adult, me and my buddy just started talking about the subject one day, and we found out that we were both kind of intrigued by why are people seeing Bigfoot. And the more we looked into it, the more we found that people are actually seeing 8-foot tall monkey men in the woods. And it just became like this bigger and bigger understanding of the huge anecdotal body that's out there for it. And so there's a legitimate phenomenon. And it doesn't yet have an explanation. So I'm searching for an explanation.
See, I understand that. For those people who don't know, I've recently started doing a podcast we're on a little bit of a break, as I am with everything at the minute. But we recently started doing a podcast with Ranty, actually, the Flat Earther, and it's based on people coming and bringing us stories of the supernatural. And essentially, at the end of the podcast, I try and provide some sort of scientific explanation, some rationale. But what I've noticed is we are talking to people from all over the world who've never communicated with each other, who are giving us very, very similar stories. So maybe some of the more famous ones would be the Shadow People or the Hat Man, or people feeling as if they've slipped from one kind of reality into another, etc. Mm-hmm. And the details of those stories are so remarkably similar that people are having these experiences, and that's got me really, really fascinated. Well, what is the reason for those experiences? And I'm learning more and more and more about psychology and how the brain works and what might lead people to have those feelings that they're going from one dimension to another, etc. So I can find like rational sort of explanations for that. So I guess what I'm saying is I understand where you're coming from. The people are coming back and reporting having seen certain things or experienced certain behaviors, and that's kind of what got you hooked, maybe, is it? Would I be right with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what got me interested is just the huge anecdotal body, and it's bigger than most people would think. I mean, my personal calculation is that we have tens of thousands of actual documentation of encounters. So it only happens in certain types of areas, sort of remote wilderness. Every now and then, like a little bit, like not so remote, but I always tell people, like, no one ever sees them walk, strolling down, through New York City or anything. So it's more, right, yeah. So it's more in rural areas, even if it's populated to some degree, and we have just such a large body of these encounters that it's fascinating to seek out an explanation. So similar to what you said, I'm really just looking for an explanation to the phenomena, whatever that is. I don't have a desired, cherished belief of what I want it to be, if that makes sense. I just I want to get to the bottom of it, whatever it is. If it's a bunch of liars, if thousands of people are lying about the same thing, that there would have to be almost organization to that, right? So that would be kind of weird in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, again, I don't want you to give any of your best evidence that might be seen
Right.
and then pre-planned in the debate, but have you yourself experienced anything when you've been looking or, doing your research?
Yes, and two things about that is that I actually don't go trying to chase down Bigfoot in the woods. So I'm sort of an odd man out, believe it or not. In the Bigfoot community, there's a lot of people that try to look for evidence or elicit encounters. I'm not that guy, but I believe I've been around them a couple of times. I've had I got screamed at one night, and I can't explain that vocalization. Um, it doesn't match any known area, any known animal in my area. And trust me, I tried to vet it. I didn't just jump to Bigfoot. So so at the end of the day, I heard a scream I can't explain. I didn't see anything, you know. But the second thing that happened, which was several years later, was what in the Bigfoot world we would call it like a wood knock experience, and that's very common. It seems to be a very common behavior that they do for whatever reason. They like to bang on trees and make these knocks in the middle of the night. And so I had about a half an hour wood knock encounter while I was in my tent in a fairly remote area. And so that would be pretty easy to chalk up, say that's probably what was going on. It was a Bigfoot experience.
Microraptor, thank you very much for 59. I don't know what 59 SEKR. But thank you very much. It says it's not Bigfoot, it's just Johnny O. Now I've heard the name Johnny O. I'm not too familiar with who Johnny O is, but I'm gonna have to have a look at that. Well, that does remind me. Just while we've got Pat here, and it's not the debate until Erica turns up, or until we can reschedule with Erica. Has anybody in the chat got questions that they want to ask Pat? And he can field those. If not, we'll wrap it up fairly soon. But yeah, Minecraft just said. I don't know if Guts Gibbons can make any topic interesting, but evidence point to yes. Yeah, she's an excellent debater. She's excellent. She's very articulate. She's very intelligent, and far more so than I am. So it would be a much better discussion if she was here instead of me. But I'm not here to debate you at all. So if anyone's got a question in the chat, if you tag me in, I'm on the agree to disagree account. Other than that, I'll just throw a question at Pat, and then we'll see what comes in. Oh, the plot hole. Yes, I know the plot hole. I didn't realise the plot hole was Johnny. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mike Raptor. So, let's imagine then that you are out in the woods and you see Bigfoot. Bigfoot is there. Is there any indication from any stories that you've heard that you should fear Bigfoot? That you're going to be in danger? Is there a warning for Bigfoot hunters?
Okay, yeah, they're not real friendly. But I think cats, the biggest thing about that, no pun intended, they're very large. So they tend to be around 8 feet tall and 4 foot wide shoulders. And they're hairy. They're not wearing clothes. It's something you've never seen before. So when people see them or have an encounter with them, especially if they've never cared about Bigfoot, they never thought anything about Bigfoot or Bigfoot being real. It's a shock to your system. So you're standing there looking at this creature that you didn't know existed on the planet. It's almost like it shouldn't be there. Like, why didn't I learn about these things in school? Like, what am I looking at? And they tend to have human-like features. So they don't look like a gorilla per se. They kind of have a combination of ape-like features and man, like human features. Some people have even said they kind of look like Native American looking. So yeah, they're big, intimidating looking things, and I think that alone scares people, and they don't seem to like us very much. So. If you get into a staring contest with the Bigfoot, it's probably going to make a bit of a menacing face to you, and maybe even like growl at you or something. That's very common in encounters.
Cool. Just reminding people in the chat, I am seeing some questions, but if you tag in agree to disagree, it will make it a lot easier for me to see them. So just a couple of super chats I'll prioritize, and then question from Luke Mitchell. So Fohammer335, thank you so much. It says, no, it's just JL Warren summoning ghosts. No BF here. I don't know. So JL, and funnily enough, JL Warren, thank you so much again, says, Oh, this looks interesting. Thoughts on David Paulides or Paulides? David Paulides?
Yeah, David Politis.
David
So
Paulides and his missing 411 work. Now, I'm not sure what that means. Can you fill us in on that?
yeah, sure. So David Politis is an author of what is the Missing 411 series, which is a series of books about people going missing in the woods. So it's a lot of famous cases where people were either kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth and were never seen again, uh, or had a strange disappearance in the woods. And even if their body was found, it was found in a place that was unexpected. So it kind of it's sort of spooky, if you will, like, and of course, my opinion on Politis is that he's kind of full of crap. I think he leaves out important details, or he will embellish things. We've had a lot of discussion about Politis on my channel, and the consensus is with the critical thinking crowd is that Politis is just trying to sell books and sort of make things appear more mysterious than they actually were by leaving out important details and things like that. So my general opinion of Missing 411 is that Politis is I think it's a form of fraud, honestly.
Okay. Now Luke Mitchell asked a question. Who hello Luke. Luke has been on. He's an excellent debater. We'd love to get you on again soon, actually. Now you might not want to answer this because I know you want to hold this back for the debate. But he says, "What is your most compelling evidence?" So if you want to hold that back for the debate, that's fine. But that was the question.
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, I think the best evidence so far that we have, and this is unfortunate, but I will hold some stuff back. I think the best evidence we have so far is tracks. So we have a lot of tracks that have been cast over the past 50, 60 years, and of course the Patterson-Gimlin film. That's the best visual evidence that we have. Again, I'm very unfortunate, and I know it's easy to challenge. It's like, the first thing people do is like, well, why? Why in 50 plus years can't you get better visual evidence? And there are reasons for that, but I will hold that back for now.
Cool. Spark344 says, what evidence would falsify Bigfoot? Oh, that's a good question.
Right. So how do you prove that Bigfoot's not real? Is that the question?
Yeah, I suppose. Or what evidence? I mean, the way I read that is like, what evidence could be presented to you, maybe to make you think, "Oh, darn, I was wrong."
I don't know. I don't know what evidence you could provide to me to explain why tens of thousands of people are seeing 8-foot tall monkey men in the woods. Hallucinations, like if you did a study in the woods that proved that there was some kind of mushroom spore that was in the air that made people hallucinate, and why are they hallucinating all the same thing? Like, I'm not sure what evidence could say, well, Bigfoot's not real because of this.
That's it. I mean, Patrick Vaughan touched on what you just said there in a comment earlier on. He said with 26,000 reports and hundreds of casted tracks, the phenomenon, I'll be able to say that properly one day, is very real. Oh, I've got a few more tags here, so let's get through these. It's a me, Mario Rui, what a great name, says, has the gentleman, very polite, has a gentleman ever considered that it could be his imagination? But I think you've touched on that with just the thousands and thousands of people seeing them.
Yeah, we're not talking about a handful of people here. So.
And it's not you who claims to have seen it, is it?
Yeah, I've never seen one. I do not want to see one face to face. Again, I'm not that guy. I don't go chasing grizzly bears either.
Me neither. Let's have a few pints and then boys will be boys. That's
Right.
half the
Right.
subscribers gone. That's a joke. Okay. If okay, right. There's a good point. Stephen Gable says if she's in the southern hemisphere, daylight savings time has ended for them today, so it might be that she's an hour out because the clocks have changed by an hour today. I didn't realize that.
She's North America. She's in the U.S., isn't she?
Of course, she's CST, isn't she? All right, yeah.
Yeah. So that, yeah. I don't think she's in South America.
No, and I knew that as well. I don't know what I'm doing. Mr. Andrew, do you have any evidence you can provide beyond the stories for Mr. Andrew? Now, I know you have because you brought some of that for the debate. But again, it's how much you want to share.
Yeah, again, the best, to date, the best physical evidence we have are the tracks, and the best visual evidence is the Patterson-Gimlin film. And I'm sorry, like if we had better evidence, then everyone would know that I wouldn't be here. Everyone would already know that these creatures are real. All I can say is this. I'll tease this. It's coming. We've figured out a way to finally get the advantage, the technological advantage on them. The technology is finally here to get an advantage to where we can. I think, in about 6 months or so, we will actually start getting real observations, and that will be game changing.
So that will be very interesting. Okay, Brainbug says, do you believe that Sasquatch is another extant hominid or another genus of hominid ape that expresses convergent bipedalism? God, there's some big words in that. It's testing me there, isn't he? Big scientific words.
Yes, and of course, Erica, she's a primatologist and a anthropologist, so that would probably be like I would almost have to ask her what that means, because I'm not a scientist. I don't even have like higher education. I never went to college or anything, but it's I say this: it's a good starting point and a good theory to begin with is that it's some kind of undiscovered hominin. Yes. That's almost what it would have to be. If anything past that, we start getting into the supernatural or paranormal, and that's not really a place I want to go, to be honest.
Yeah, see, that's another thing when we were talking off air that I find quite interesting about you, that you're not into any of that kind of stuff. You debate against flat earthers. You're not really. We mentioned Dogman briefly off air, and again you said, well, are you delving into the paranormal type stuff? It's not your thing. So, so when the debate does happen, I am really interested to see what you've got to say, because you do come from quite a how can I put it, a real world perspective with it, don't you?
Yes, I do. I try, Catz. Hopefully.
Hold on says cast tracks are okay, but how to evidence it is from a Bigfoot. I think we're saying there's how to show it's from a Bigfoot. I don't think you can, as you don't really know what they should look like. I would imagine, right. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I would imagine that the casts of all animals would be known by now, wouldn't they? So if you're seeing something massively different to other animals, how different are they from, for example, a bear or a gorilla, or if you've seen any comparisons?
Ooh, I mean, they have big feet. Again, no pun.
That's in the name. It's in the job description.
So they have a foot that is similar to ours, but much bigger, and not the same kind of design. They're very flat-footed, and they're big. So we're talking, 14-inch tracks, 18-inch tracks, maybe up to 20-inch tracks. And fortunately, in the Bigfoot world, we have a world-class foot morphologist named Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, who has a professional skill set on the evolution of primate feet. And so he's an expert. He's an expert, and so he says they're real. And sometimes we find tracks. We're able to cast them with dermal ridges. So that's what, like, it's on the palm of your hand. You know, the ridges. They are also on feet, and so we have cast. I say we, not, me. I wasn't involved, but people in the community have been able to actually capture those dermal ridges on certain tracks. It's a very special condition to be able to capture that. And so yeah, their foot is different than ours. The way they're built is different than ours. They walk differently than we do. They seem to walk with this very like weird gliding motion, almost like it's called a compliant gait, if you will. They lean forward when they walk, so they're different from us, but they're bipedal.
Okay, Johnny Moe says, if anybody knows that Bigfoot exists, it's some of the governments of the world. Why would they hide its existence if that was true?
That's a tough one. I'll just say this. Governments are big, complicated things. And I don't think the government knows that Bigfoot's real. It could very well be that low-level, boots on the ground wildlife management people understand that these things are out there, and they kind of compartmentalize it. So, I mean, I always say this. I'm like, if Donald Trump knew that Bigfoot was real, do you think he could keep his mouth shut about it? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it.
So you're not coming at it from the perspective that there's some higher organized conspiracy,
No. I mean, that's just not how the world works, man. Yeah. It's not how my world works. So
no,
that becomes a worldview thing, And people mistrust government, but the government can't be the boogeyman for everything,
No, I agree, and I think that's one of the things that flat earthers just they throw that at any argument that you give them. It's it's the cover up, and you ask, well, how would that be possible? How do they do it? And the answers you get are compartmentalization and money, but you don't get an explanation of how they achieve the cover up. You just get those two words thrown at you. It's compartmentalization. It's money, and that's it. And we're not going to discuss.
Right.
We're not going to discuss it any further because we can't. No, I'm glad. That's a good answer. That's good. Right, the Batch says he thinks the question is to discern if those tracks we were talking about are real or hoaxes. And how would you get around that? Because there will undoubtedly be people going out there deliberately. It's human nature, isn't it? There will be people going out there hoaxing. So how do you determine the difference?
I would say there's probably not a lot of people that just go stomping around trying like crude footprints. Although with today's technology, one could argue, with 3D printing, you could probably come up with something kind of cool, and compelling to wear on your feet. So hoaxes do happen. That is an element in the Bigfoot world, but when people come across tracks in remote areas randomly, and they're able to cast those tracks and even send those casts off to someone like Meldrum, who as a professional can examine that casting and determine this is likely real. But it does happen, and don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a thing that happens with bear track. Sometimes bears will double step in their own trackway, and it looks like a Bigfoot track, and it's called a double step from a bear, and so misidentification happens. Hoaxes do happen, but not much. There's not a lot of people running around trying to hoax Bigfoot tracks, but it does happen. But I would just, say that, there is this phenomena called Bigfoot that does leave tracks, and that has been well documented at this point.
This is an excellent point. It's not a question, and we're not tagged in, but I didn't know this. I'm going to do a bit of research on this, but it's from Wade Watts, and he says David Attenborough himself says he believes in the possibility of a Yeti-like creature based on prints in the Himalayas and other things, so you never know. I'm going to have to Google David Attenborough's opinion on that, because, who doesn't respect David Attenborough?
So does Jane Goodall, by the way.
Really? Right.
Yes,
Jane Goodall.
absolutely.
So she said the same. Right, I'll have to have a look at that. So
Yeah.
that is interesting. Let's just see if I've been tagged in anywhere else. Lockbeard has tagged me in. What's he said? Faking tracks would require also carrying hundreds of pounds on one's back to achieve the proper depth.
Sometimes, in the right conditions, yeah. So there have been tracks found where people will test, the soil themselves by stomping their foot in the ground and not even come close to the depth of the track they found. That happens.
Cool. Brainbug says light echo. Is he saying that the light is bounced off my bald head?
I believe
Possibly.
so.
Is that what light echo is? I've not heard that term before. Okay, thanks, Brainbug. I cut it today. It was quite long before today. So that's it. I've not been tagged in by anybody else. So for those people who've just come on, this isn't really meant to be an interview, and it's not a debate between me and Patrick. Gutsick Gibbon was meant to be here. And many of you will know her as Erica from over on the Modern Day Debate channel, who's highly educated, isn't it, in this sort of area. And I think there's been some sort of mix-up of communication, because otherwise I know she would be here 100%. So if I don't get tagged in for a few more questions soon, we're gonna wrap this up. And as soon as I hear back from Erica, maybe she thought it was an hour from now, maybe I'm not quite sure. We'll come back on and we'll do the debate when Erica's here. So hopefully that will be soon, soon tonight. Maybe, and if not, maybe we'll have to rearrange it for another day. What's your timetable like, Pat? Are you?
That's fine. Like, I'm good all day. Like I said earlier, I'm supposed to participate in the Flat Earth debate 8 o'clock my time, so that's in 7 hours almost. But James was having problems, like you and I talked about. The two people dropped out. He was trying to get the Flat Earth brothers in, and I don't know if that's been worked out or not. So, but I'm definitely wide open between now and then. And if we have to reschedule for another day, next weekend would probably be a good place. Good.
Brilliant.
Starting.
Right, well, as soon as I know, I will let you know. Mycrap says Erica is also a very awesome person. Yeah, absolutely. And if there's been a mistake here, it will have been my mistake. I can guarantee. If somebody's cocked up here, it'll be me, nobody else. So
yeah.
In the absence of any other questions, what I'll do is I'll call this a day. But we will be coming back as soon as possible to get this debate done. So at least now you've met Pat. If you want to see more about him, his channel is linked in the description, and it's called Squatch Talk.
Squatch Talk, yes.
As in, take it Sasquatch Talk, not Orange Squash Talk. Sasquatch Talk. That was my joke for the day, everybody. So okay, right. Okay, I'm going to end this then, and hopefully we'll see you in half an hour with Erica, and if not, whenever. All right.
Next week, maybe.
Yes, as soon as we possibly can. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.